Good afternoon, Steel City. Welcome to the Yinzer Report on IE Sports Radio, your direct feed for all other sports. Today's show, Team President Rooney II conducts his season's ending media briefing on the 2023 Steelers and the upcoming 2024 season. The black and gold bat signal is out for a new Steelers offensive coordinator. 3 have interviewed, and Arthur Smith has just been named to that position. The Penguins hit the NHL AllStar break on a high with an OT thrilling win. The Pitt Panthers men's basketball team continued their ACC road tour with a win and a loss. The Pittsburgh Steelers, AFC North rivals, are defeated in the AFC Championship. No purple colors in Super Bowl 58 except the banner. And the Pittsburgh Pirates are on countdown for spring training. Pitches and catches soon to report. All of this next on the Yinzer Report on IE Sports Radio, your direct feed for all that is sports. Let's go! Good afternoon, everyone. Welcome to the Yinzer Report on IE Sports Radio, your direct feed for all other sports. My name is Ralph Calise. I having my 5th show on IE Sports Radio. I was lucky enough to be inducted into the Hall of Fame this past beginning of the year. I'm the 24th entry, so I'm proud of that accomplishment, and I'm here to talk Pittsburgh sports with you. Join in. The chat room is up. I see a couple of people are already there. Hello to Jen B. Have a great show. Thank you. Tehran. Also, does Penn State count as being Pittsburgh? I think so. Tehran also said, interested to hear your thoughts on Arthur Smith as Steeler offensive coordinator. We're going to get into that. And he also said, have an amazing show. Thank you, Tehran. I appreciate all your support. You're one of the best on our radio network. So I was going to start my show with a timeline about the offensive coordinating position for the Steelers. As everyone knows, they fired Matt Canada early in November, and the running back coach Eddie Faulkner and the quarterback coach Mike Sullivan were handling the offensive play calling duties for the Steelers. Like I said, I was going to do a timeline of who was coming in, who came in, and some names out there that were supposedly going to interview for the job. But all that has gone by the board as of today. At around 1 o'clock, the Steelers announced that they were signing Arthur Smith to the offensive coordinating position. He was the former Falcon coach from last year. The Atlanta Falcons let him go. They did have 3 interviews before hiring Arthur Smith, and he was one of them. They did interview Gerard Johnson first, the Texans QB coach. As you know, he is coaching C.J. Stroud. Did a phenomenal job there. And Thomas Brown, the Panthers offensive coordinator last year, was said to have a pretty strong interview. But Sunday came, and Arthur Smith came in and he was at the facility getting his interview, and I guess the Steelers saw his candidacy would make sense. He's a veteran coach who would provide an ideal leader for the Steelers' offense, notably the quarterbacks. Smith is an offensive experienced play caller and would be active on his work with the quarterbacks. He was coach with Matt Ryan his first year in Atlanta, and he did coach Tannehill for 2 years in Tennessee, and one of those years Tannehill came back as comeback player of the year for the Titans, which in offense he took over in 2019. Their offense was number 27 in points, 25 in yards. That year they improved to 10th in scoring, 12th in yards. 2020 was even better. The Titans were number 4 in points, number 2 in yards, and that was the year the Titans went to the AFC Championship and lost. The Steelers did say they were looking for a veteran coach and someone who could work with the quarterback, because the quarterback situation in Pittsburgh is a little up in the air right now, as I see it. Right now you have Kenny Pickett, who they're saying is going to be there as one of the viable quarterbacks, but he has to earn it, and they're bringing in competition for him. And I don't know if Mason Rudolph's coming back, but they do want him back. You'll hear about that in Art Rooney's season-ending press conference. But as I've been seeing so far out there on social media, it's been about 50-50 about the hiring, whether it's been good, whether it's been bad. I think a lot of Steeler feelers, and I will put myself in that category, we're looking for that hotshot offensive coordinator who were really going to get the Steelers upbeat on their offense and open it up. But they went to a veteran offensive guy who has shown he can do it. I mean, in Atlanta, he wasn't a good head coach. He was 7-10 all 3 years he was there. But I looked up his stats for his offensive ranks, and they were middle of the pack. He did have players this year as Bijan Robinson, Drake London, and the tight end Kyle Pitts. I think they leaned a lot on Bijan Robinson, and he did have a good season, but they had Zidler as the quarterback, and I don't know if he's an NFL-ready guy. I think he's been there for 2 years, and like I said, the 3 years he's been coaching there, he middle-of-the-pack offensive stats. His defense, their rankings were even worse. So that could be a major reason why, of coaching the Falcons, he was 7-10 each of the 3 years he was there. So we'll see what happens. The Steelers went for the veteran guy. At this point right now, I would say I feel comfortable with it. I feel a little optimistic. I mean, anything is better than what we had in Matt Canada when Eddie Faulkner and Matt Sullivan took over. They basically had Kenny Pickett for, I want to say, 1.5 games because he got hurt. And then Mason Rudolph came in, and he did a phenomenal job with those two guys. And again, in Art Rooney's conference, he mentions the play of Mason Rudolph, and that's what they're looking for, that type of play out of a Steeler quarterback. And Mason Rudolph really showed up to be what they wanted. Arthur Smith is a veteran guy, like we're saying. He has all the credentials that the Steelers want. He was an outside hire. Steelers don't normally do that. And Mike Tomlin is an inside guy. And they went outside and they signed Arthur Smith. But he does have a lot of experience. He's, from what I'm hearing, he's a workhorse. His father's a millionaire. I think he's something involved with FedEx, and really this guy doesn't really need to be in the NFL as a coach. He's pretty well set outside football with his family. But he's a football guru, if you want to say it. But he hasn't shown the results that I guess some people want and what they wanted. So in summary with Arthur Smith, I'm just going to read something that I found that is possibly the way I feel about it. And it goes like this. The Steelers have signed ex-Falcons coach Arthur Smith, who went 21-30 in 3 years with Atlanta. Before that, he was the offensive coordinator for the Tennessee Titans for 2 seasons. Given the personnel and Pittsburgh's offense, Smith makes a lot of sense for the role. During his short spell in Tennessee, the Titans became an elite offensive unit with the scheme centered around Derrick Henry. Henry led the NFL in rushing yards and touchdowns in 2019 and 2020, and the latter year going for 2,227 yards. 2,027 yards. With the Steelers, Smith inherits the backfield tandem of Najee Harris and Jaylen Warren, who combined to go for 1,819 yards and 12 scores on the ground. Expectations might be particularly high for Harris, who was a Pro Bowler as a rookie in 2021 and failed to match that level since. Smith's tenure in Atlanta will leave some fans disappointed with his hiring, though. Quarterback Desmond Ridder failed to make great strides through his first 2 years, while the Falcons had a below-average offense in 2023, despite having investing top 10 picks in Bijan Robinson, Drake London, and Kyle Pitts, like I had mentioned. From the outside, Smith doesn't look like an ideal candidate to maximize the value of wideouts George Pickens and Deontay Johnson, or coax something new out of Kenny Pickett. Granted, what the Steelers do at quarterback might be bigger than the offensive coordinator they hired. Targeting a replacement for, or at least a viable veteran alternative to Pickett, would present a significant change next season. So, Arthur Smith has the job, but there's still that big asterisk and problem with the quarterback. So he's the guy. I guess they'll go through with the quarterback situation in the off season. You'll hear now when I mentioned in the press conference that Art Rooney II had about some of that before Arthur Smith was signed. So right now, Steeler fans, Arthur Smith is our offensive coordinator. He's going to give it a shot. I'm sure he'll do well. We'll have to get a little used to him. I don't know how long the chants are going to be saying fire Arthur Smith come, but let's give him a chance. Let's be optimistic, and like I said, it's got to be better than what we had with Matt Canada, and hopefully he can do better than what the two guys did when Mason Rudolph took over. So I'll get into Art Rooney's press conference. And Art Rooney had a press conference yesterday, and he spoke about the media briefing was on the 2023 season and the 2024 season, and a couple of interesting things he said. We'll go over them. He did say it's fair to say he feels that the Steelers are closer to contending at this stage of the game than we were at this point last year. He cites a solid rookie class and says he thinks we have a core group of players and we compete with the group. Other things that stuck out, he said, I think the biggest thing we need is quality play at the quarterback position. Now, mind you, this press conference was yesterday. This was before they hired Arthur Smith today. So again, the quarterback is a big thing. He also said about not winning a playoff game in forever, and this was in direct capital quotes. We've had enough of this. We've had enough of this. It's time to get some wins. It's time to take the next step. Okay, I like that. He went on to talk about Mike Tomlin. He said, if I didn't think he can win us another championship, he wouldn't be here. The players still respond to Mike, and that's number one. He can still hold the attention of 20-year-olds for the full season. Rooney also confirmed that Tomlin was in fact the one who fired Matt Canada and was emphatic on that count of the firing. The new offensive coordinator will be Mike's hire. Head coaches hire their coordinators, and he thinks it would be a mistake for him to try to screw it up on the lines of authority, let's say in terms of how he thinks they are supposed to work. That being said, he has been talking with Mike Tomlin every day. So like I said, this came out yesterday, and today they hired Arthur Smith. He went on to say he loved how the Seals performed with Mason Rudolph because it showed what the team can look like overall with quality quarterback play. Now, mind you, they went on a 3-game winning streak at the end of the year, and Mason Rudolph was actually, I mentioned it in one of my other shows, was the best thing I've seen since Ben Roethlisberger left. He said on Rudolph's contract status, we want Mason back. Rooney expressed optimism that Kenny Pickett can still improve, while also saying Rudolph has yet to hit his own ceiling, both in terms of quarterback play, is what he was speaking about. Rooney also was asked about discipline and in-house rules, and he said we have some players that can grow like a lot of teams do. We have players that need to grow, so that's all part of it. But he thinks Tomlin certainly capable of handling that side of the house for his team. He has done so many times, according to Mr. R. Rooney II. Again, he spoke on Pickett after expressing optimism for him. He said firing the offensive coordinator in mid-season likely didn't help Pickett's development. Mentioned Pickett needs to see the field and read defensive quickly, needs to work hard, and have a strong off-season. That's for sure this year, to compete for the quarterback spot. Now he gets into the offensive coordinator. He wants the offensive coordinator to bring a fresh approach and has an important job to help make Pickett take the next step. Can't discount what Rudolph did. Can't discount that fact having competition at quarterback will be good for everybody. Rudolph came and showed what he thinks they are capable of when they do get the quarterback quality of play. So, again, this is going to be Arthur Smith's biggest challenge. We know he's a beast with the running game. He's got to get a quarterback on board like I guess he had with Tannehill and Tennessee. But that'll unfold in the offseason. Rooney's short overview of the state of other areas on the rosters, but kept coming back to the point that competing to win and pursuing a championship are the exception. The offense, I think we have two high-performing running backs, Najee Harris and Jaylen Warren, along with an opposing offensive line, which can be the foundation of success going forward. Certainly some positives there, especially as the season wore on. We saw what we think they can be, the offensive line can be. That's Arthur Smith right there. But once again, this came out yesterday before we knew Arthur Smith was the coach. But who knows? Maybe they spoke about this in their interview on Sunday. So it's kind of like coming together why you could see why they hired Arthur Smith. I mean, Tomlin and Khan are out at the West Shrine practice today. So this decision must have been made Sunday, and they held off to today. Getting back to Rooney on the defense, he said not to make excuses, but the defense was hit with a rash of injuries at times, was difficult to overcome all things considered. He said the coaches did a good job of plugging guys where you sometimes need a stadium program to figure out who they were on Sundays. Now, when I read this, I shook my head and said he's 100% right about that, because I was at the game against Arizona when they lost, and I'm a big guy, like, of Steel memorabilia, and I am one of those guys that has to get a program for the game. And I did buy a program for that game versus Arizona. And I tell you, the guys listed in there was the team from the start of the season. None of the guys they picked up or had filtered into the lineup were in the book. So he hit that one on the head. He said, bottom line, he thinks they have a solid core group of players on the defensive side that can build on with Rooney. Rooney loved the fight to get into the playoff spot, and they said they can build on that moving forward and find ways to make sure things are better for next season. So that was his press conference yesterday, and a lot of things it seems like he mentioned in there came through with Arthur Smith today. So I don't know. It's a weird situation that this happened today, and all this came out yesterday with the presser, and Mike Tomlin is with Omar Khan at the West Shrine game looking up players. So, well, it's the Steelers. I've mentioned this in other shows. I never, ever say that they had a bad draft, because 3 or 4 of their guys always stick, and they stick around for a while. So we have the whole off season to see how this plays out. We'll see what they do at quarterback, and I guess go from there. Like I said, Arthur Smith is in the building. He is the offensive coordinator, and we'll go from there with him. And hopefully it turns out to be a good signing. And I look forward to hearing the fire Arthur Smith chants early if he doesn't pan out. All right, I just want to get into the AFC Championship game with our rivals, the Baltimore Ravens. As everybody knows, they lost to the Chiefs 17-10. It was the AFC Championship game. I know people and experts have their views on the loss. Maybe you could say I'm looking at this as a Steeler fan, as the Ravens are our rivals. But my view of the loss, this is a John Harbaugh coached Baltimore Ravens team that showed a lot of undiscipline with penalties and a lot of emotions that sealed their fate to lose the game. And I have a couple of notes that I wrote down about that. In the first half, it was 14-7 Chiefs. There was a minute 46 left till the half. The Chiefs had a 1st and 10 at their own 11. The first play was ran. I think it was a 1-yard game, and Kyle Van Noy had an unnecessary roughness penalty. That's 15 yards. Mind you, we're in the 2-minute span of the game with the 2-minute offense out there. So on another play, that was a first down. Another play on a 2nd and 5, Mahomes threw an incomplete pass at the KC 32-yard line, and T. Jones was called on roughing the passer. That's another 15 yards. So there's 2 unnecessary roughness penalties, which I'm talking about discipline for a John Harbaugh team that unraveled for them there. The drive wound up being 8 plays, 55 yards, and 30 of those yards were on penalties. Kansas City kicked a field goal to give them 17 points. So it was 17-7 going to the half. Move forward to the third quarter with 49 seconds left. Chiefs are still leading 17-7. Lamar Jackson throws a 54-yard pass to Zay Flowers, and I don't know what this kid was thinking. I'm sure everybody saw the play. He kind of like stepped on the Kansas City cornerback, dropped the ball, and just stood over him. I mean, wow. The flag should have been thrown earlier than it was. And it was a 15-yard taunting penalty, and the ball was moved back to the 25-yard line. Again, very undisciplined for the Ravens. You normally don't see that in a John Harbaugh coach team. Jackson, now that was the end. Then the third quarter came, and CBS came back, and Jim Nantz is saying, wow, the lights just came back on. The Ravens were honoring Terrell Suggs as he came out of the tunnel flashing his Super Bowl ring from the last time the Ravens won the Super Bowl. What? You do that at the beginning of a game, not in the middle of a game. I mean, yeah, I'm trying to get the crowd pumped up, but that time in the game, I don't think that was warranted there. I don't know if Jim Harbaugh was on board for that. Anyway, so then came the play where it was 2nd and 8, and Jackson hit Flowers again to the KC 1. He fumbled the ball, recovered for a touchback, no points. That rookie had some drive right there. Oh boy, he's going to be learning fast in the NFL. And the end of the game, 2:34 left. They had 2 timeouts left, and 1st and 10 was a 7-yard run, and too many men on the field for Baltimore. So it went to a 1st and 5. The penalty was accepted. Again, Jim Harbaugh team, 12 guys on the field at the point in the game like that. I don't understand it. Believe me, I know AFC North football, and I've rarely seen John Harbaugh get out-coached. I know he's out-coached Mike Tomlin a lot. Then there was a 1st and 5, and Raekwon Smith took an unnecessary roughness penalty, another 15 yards, which moved the ball to the KC 30, and that was it. The timeouts were done, but they let the Chiefs go down the field, and then Mahomes threw the bomb to Malchus van Skelding for 32 yards, and they killed the clock. So I look at that loss by the Ravens as the team being undisciplined. Their emotions must have really been not under control, and maybe the moment was too big for them. And yeah, I mean, I'm glad they didn't win. I don't want to see the Ravens in a Super Bowl. I'm a Steeler fan. AFC North, you know how that feels. All right, so that's that for football. I'm going to take a break. This is the Yinzer Report on IE Sports Radio, your direct feed for all that is sports. I will be back, and we will talk Penguins and Pitt men's basketball.
Hey sports fans, do you like wine? Well, we've got the show for you. This is Let's Wine About Sports, a show where we talk about wine and sports simultaneously. From the classic Cabernet Sauvignon all the way down to the grapes that you've never even heard of before. Oh yeah, we cover it all. And we'll talk about a little bit of sports as well. Football, hockey, collegiate, women's sports, it doesn't matter. We're going to talk about it all, and we're going to whine about it all. So join me Monday at 8 p.m. on IU Sports Radio, your direct feed for all that is sports.
Welcome to the 305, aka the Magic City, and this is Magic City Scoreboard. I'm your host, JB, and right here we're going to talk anything Miami. Miami Dolphins, Miami Heat, Miami Hurricanes, Marlins, Panthers, Inter Miami, and even high school football. So join me once a week right here on Magic City Scoreboard on IE Sports Radio, your direct feed to all that is sports.
Hockey fans, I'm Adam Kernick.
And I'm Zach Puplis.
Together, we are the newest version of Hockey Talk on IE Sports Radio, The Neutral Zone.
Zone.
We love hockey, but we also know it's not everyone's first sport. So we want to make this show as much for new fans as for the diehards.
Whether you can name all the Swedes on the '08 Red Wings Stanley Cup team, or if you can't tell if Varlamov is a goalie or the latest trendy vodka, we're here to help. With facts, figures, and outrageous fans, we bring you all the hard-hitting hockey news you can handle, while still keeping it fun and on the rails. Well, mostly.
So tune in every week as we go around the hockey world, from college to Canada, the minors and the majors, and everywhere in between.
So bring your cellies.
And your one-timers.
You wicked wristas.
And be sure to protect your five-hole.
Catch the Neutral Zone every week on IE Sports Radio, your direct feed for all that is sports.
We promise not to pick on the Arizona Coyotes every episode.
Welcome back. This is the Yinzer Report on IE Sports Radio, your direct feed for all that is sports. Gonna get into some Penguins hockey. Just want to say hello, Larry B. How you doing, buddy? Drewski, How we doing, pal? Hope all is well out there. Thanks for joining in. So, the Penguins had 2 games. The AllStar break in hockey is upon us. I'll just do a little recap on the Penguins. So, this was on Friday. The 26th of January was their 45th game of the season. They played the Florida Panthers at the PB Paints Arena in Pittsburgh. The Panthers wound up beating the Penguins 3-2 in an overtime shootout. They won the skills competitions 2-1, the Panthers over the Penguins. The Penguins rally in the final minute to gain a point, but lost to the Panthers in the shootout. Shootout goals by Alexander Barkov and Sam Reinhart were the difference. The Penguins are mired in the middle of mediocrity. That is the Eastern Conference playoff race. Had a terrible power play night. They were 1 for 8 on the power play, while the Panthers were 2 for 3. Special teams played out to be a big part of this game, especially with the skills competition deciding it. Jake Gunsel, steady scorer for the Penguins this year, scored a minute and 11 seconds into the game. It was the 21st of the year for him. And former player Edwin Rodriguez scored his 8th for the Panthers to tie the game at 1-1 on a power play goal at 4:52. Sam Reinhart scored his 36th goal of the season at 11:49 in the second period, also on a power play, which Chris Letang was in the box serving a pair of minor penalties for a hit that temporarily injured Alexander Barkov. When Barkov returned shortly after the collision with Letang, a gang of Panthers tried to stomp Letang out of revenge over the collision, and he absorbed several penalties for their actions in the second period, giving the Penguins 5 different power play chances, but they could not tally the tying goal. And in a bold move in the third period by Coach Sullivan to get the power play going, he moved Evgeny Malkin and Erik Karlsson to the second power play unit, but that did not help the power play for the tying goal. Malkin's hockey talent and trying to convince Coach Sullivan never to change him on the power play unit went above and beyond to tie the score in the final minute at 19:18 of the third period. His talent was on display. He banged in a forehand shot off a precise pass from Sidney Crosby in a frenetic goal mouth scramble with Nedeljkovic pulled for the extra attacker. It was Malkin's 16th goal of the season. So that tied the game. There were no goals in overtime. It went to the shootout, and the recap of the shootout was the Penguins went first and Rakell missed. The Panthers Lundell missed. The second round, the Pens Crosby missed. The Panthers Barkov scored. Notice he came back. The third round, the Penguins Gensel scored. And the Panthers Reinhardt scored. So the Panthers' 2 best players won the skills competition for them. Malkin was the third star of the game. Nedeljkovic stopped 29 of 31 shots in regulation. He's now 8-3-3 on the year. After this loss, the Pens' losing streak is at 3 games, 0-2-1 in the last 3 games. The power play struggles, of course, like I said, hurt in the game. Comments after the game, Malkin said, "We're back home to play back-to-back home games tonight and Saturday. We understand we are still fighting for the playoffs. As you know, we fight all night, and I try to help the team win every game." Coach Sullivan on Malkin, "Nobody is harder on himself than Gino. He understands that we really rely on him to produce offense for us, and when he does it, nobody feels it more than he does. Hopefully that goal at the end of the third period, it was a huge goal, and it helps him get along, and it helped us get a hard-earned point. Hopefully he will gain confidence from that." So that was the Penguins' 45th game played. They are 21-17-7 for 49 points. They're 4 teams behind the last playoff spot by 6 points. And their next game was Saturday night versus the Montreal Canadiens. And look at that. It was Evgeny Malkin's bobblehead night. So, again, Saturday night comes. It's the Penguins game number 46. As mentioned, Evgeny Malkin bobblehead night giveaway at the PB Paints Arena in Pittsburgh. The Montreal Canadiens come in, and the Penguins win 3-2 in overtime. And possibly, what I might say, one of their best games of the year. So the Penguins fly high to the bye after winning an OT 3-2. Might have saved their season going into the AllStar break. Their minds are upbeat after some disappointing losses. They grabbed the 2 points that were much needed. Their next game is February 6th at Winnipeg because the All-Star break is now upon us. Marcus Pettersson's overtime thrilling type goal had PB Paints Arena rocking. Big goal, big win. It was also Lars Eller's 1,000 game. He was honored by Coach Sullivan being deployed his line to start the game of the opening faceoff. Lars Eller in his 1,000th game did not disappoint. And in his playing his always professional way, two-way game, Eller scored the first Penguins goal, won 6 of 10 face-off, and finished with 4 total shots. His only negative was he was on ice for a power play goal for the Canadiens. But there he is, playing shorthanded on the ice. Lars Eller, of course, like I said, is a total professional hockey player effort as he celebrated his milestone and was honored by Coach Sullivan. Eller becomes the 36th active NHL player in league history to appear in 1,000 games. Wow, that's some accomplishment. As I mentioned, Pettersson's OT winner was a thrilling goal. Our captain and future Hall of Famer, number 87, Sidney Crosby, again set up the tying goal by Jake Guentzel with a never-to-be-forgotten assist. An assist is a pass. Seen by anyone who witnessed, it was a quick, such as a glance, blind backhand pass directly onto the stick of Jake Guentzel, who was set up at the left side of the crease and steered the pass by Habs goalie Jake Allen to tie the game at 2. Jake Guentzel's description of Crosby's pass, unbelievable. Said had no idea a pass would be coming his way until it was hitting my tape. A spinorama right on the tape. Guentzel now 22 goals on the season in overtime. In overtime, Marcus Pettersson at 2:43 scored the game winner with the assist going to Ricard Raquel and Evgeny Malkin, the bobblehead player's night. The Pens win it 3-2. They're now 22-17-7, 12-8-3 at home, 51 points on the season, and they're 6 points out of a mumble-jumbled playoff spot for the Eastern Conference there. Tristan Jarry at 25 saves, Crosby's point streak to 7 games with a spectacular assist, and the Penguins had the first 2 stars of the game. Marcus Pettersson, 1 goal, 1 assist, and Lars Eller, 1 goal, 1 assist, and of course his 1,000th game could easily have been the first star. So the Penguins now head into the All-Star break, and they will get a break. I guess they're on the road because their first game back is at Winnipeg, and we'll see what happens when they get back. They'll rest up, come back, and the playoff run in hockey is coming. All right. Going to do some Pitt basketball now. They also had 2 games, and their first game they played was January 23rd, 2024. It was Tuesday. It was the ACC game at Georgia Tech. This was the first game after they beat Duke on the road. This was at the McCamish Pavilion. That's the Georgia Tech Yellow Jackets arena for college basketball. The Panthers came out on top 72-64. They had balanced the scoring attack from four players who stood out. Colton Carrington, 19 points, 6 rebounds, 3 assists. Ishmael Leggett, 14 points, 4 rebounds. Jalen Lowe, 12 points, 3 rounds, 3 assists. And Guillermo Diaz-Graham had 12 points. Like I said, it was Pitt's second victory on the road in ACC ball after beating Duke. They now defeat Georgia Tech. It was a back-and-forth game in the first half. Sloppy affair. The halftime score was 31-27 Pitt. Second half, Georgia Tech came out. They were buzzing, scoring the first 7 points to take the lead. Minutes after, Pitt quieted the Yellow Jackets' momentum with Diaz-Graham showing up. He hit a 3-point shot, then an acrobatic and one from Jalen Lowe. Diaz-Graham, after Georgia Tech tied the game, continuing its strong play, hit another 3 from the top of the key and a slam dunk shortly after. Pitt went on a 13-2 run, and this was the key point of the game for Pitt to go on to win. Pitt closed out this game like the last game versus Duke with clutch foul shooting from Carrington and Leggett for the 72-64 win at Georgia Tech. A big note out of this game was the Pitt defense held the Georgia Tech leading scorer Miles Kelly to a surprising 0-point night for the first time this season. Pitt is now 12-7, 3-5 in the ACC play. Their 3-game away streak in the ACC will end Saturday at Miami. That was Saturday. Now Saturday comes, January 27th. The Panthers are at Miami. Panthers are 12-7. The Hurricanes are 13-6. This AC action was at the Watsco Center, University of Miami. Oh boy, that place was buzzing. Miami came out on top, 72-68. Miami's Norchad Omier had 18 points and recorded a game-saving play with the block with 1.8 seconds left, and withstood a Pitt Panthers hard-charging rally to secure the 72-68 win. This loss ends Pitt's 2-game winning streak. They're down 70-68 with 10.3 seconds left. Jalen Lowe fielded the ball in the backcourt off the inbound and drove left. Omier picked him up off a screen and deflected his shot attempt as Lowe tried to draw a foul. Least did Lowe realize Omier had a 4-inch height difference on him. Guess he gave it his best shot. Lowe is only 6'3". Miami sealed the game with Keyshawn George making 2 foul shots with 1.8 seconds. The score was 72-68. Pitt had a 1-for-10 shooting spell in the first half, and Miami went on an 11-1 run for an early 25-14 lead. The Panthers charged back in the final minutes with Carrington jump shot. Love made a 3-point shot, and Leggett made his own 3-point shot. Lowe added 2 foul shots in a scoring charge by Pitt to make the score 68-65 with 1:23 to play. Yeah, they had some comeback. Yeah. Very valiant comeback tried despite the early shooting woes on the road in a crazy arena. Pitt ends 3-game ACC road game streak and come home to play Wake Forest tomorrow. They are now 12-8, 3-6 in the ACC. Like I said, they will be home at the Peterson Event Center versus Wake Forest in Pittsburgh. Hey, the Pitt Panthers are a very scrappy team from what I've seen so far. They have a lot of young guys. I think they're playing 3 rookies as I speak, and 2 of them are starting. So, should be fun watching them go through the rest of the season. All right. Wow, another show flying, my 5th show. All right, I'll take a quick break. I'm going to come back. I'll give you a little note about some Pirate baseball coming up. and we'll go from there. This is Ralph Calise, the Yinzer Report, IE Sports Radio, your direct feed for all other sports. Once again, the Yinzer Report. Stand by. I'll be back.
Hello, everyone. My name is Daryl Kinsey Jr., and I'm welcoming you to take another lap with the fastest show on IE Sports Radio. Yes, this is the Extra Mile with me and my co-hosts Christopher Lehman and Michael Ward. We talk everything racing from NASCAR to IndyCar to Formula One to limited hydroplanes, endurance racing, the NHRA, and more. So come join us for an hour of great racing talk and a lot of fun as well on the Extra Mile, Thursdays at 8 p.m. only on IE Sports Radio, your direct feed for all that is sports.
Hey sports fans, are you in the market for Florida sports or just keeping up with the latest in the Panhandle? Palm Tree Sports is a dedicated audio hub to all things sports in the Sunshine State. We cover current events, big news, heavily favored opinions all across the NFL, NBA, MLB, and so much more. So come check us out every Saturday evening at 6 p.m. Eastern Standard Time for a down south education on Florida sports and athletics. It's hosted by yours truly, Corey Pujols, and is powered by IE Sports Radio, your direct feed for all that is sports.
Okay, welcome back. The Yinzer Report, IE Sports Radio, your direct feed for all other sport. Once again, my name is Ralph Calise. This is my 5th ever episode. I hope you're enjoying my coverage on Pittsburgh sports. I am gradually going along here. As I go along, I will try to add on some more teams in the Pittsburgh area, and we'll see what happens with that. So we're hitting in the month of February now, and everybody knows when February comes around, it's time for some spring training baseball. And just a quick note on the Pirates. Pitchers and catchers are reporting February 15th. Their first full squad workout is February 20th. And their first spring training game is against the Twins, but at the Twins spring training facility. So anyone going down to Florida in those areas that are Pirate fans or baseball fans, check them out. Pirates are going to be an exciting team this year, I have a feeling. They have a good mix of veterans and younger players, and their bullpen is pretty stacked. So we'll get into some Pirate baseball, I'm sure, coming up in the next couple of weeks. Once they report, maybe we'll get some pictures and some stuff to see what's going on down there. And, go Buccos. Black and gold. So that's the show for today. I hope everyone enjoyed it. Once again, the big news is Arthur Smith is now the Pittsburgh Steelers offensive coordinator. We will see how this plays off in the off season. The big thing is the quarterback situation. They have to get that settled and go from there. But Steelers are the Steelers. So we'll see what happens. All right. So stay tuned on IE Sports Radio, your direct feed for all that is sports. We have 4 more shows coming up tonight. I'll just recap who's coming up. Next is the Show of the Land with Jen B. My AFC rival, North team, Cleveland Browns. Have a good show, Jen B. The Philly Sports Show is on at 8 p.m. Eastern Time. That's the Philly Sports Talk with Chris and Bobby. 9 p.m. Eastern Time, the Neutral Zone with Adam and Zach. They do a great job. Check those guys out. And 10 p.m. Sin City Sports with Kaylee. he does Vegas. So he's got the Raiders and he's got the Vegas Knights, the Stanley Cup champions. So you have that coming up. And I'm going to sign off for tonight. And I will speak to you guys next Tuesday. And enjoy your evening. And remember, love you guys. Take care. Good night. This was episode 5 of the Yinzer Report on IE Sports Radio, your direct feed for all that is sports. Thanks for joining in. I will talk to you next week. Enjoy your night. Enjoy your upcoming week. Enjoy your weekend. And always remember, let's go!